Tuesday version of Career Coach Office Hours. I decided to move it up rather than at midday. I just felt it was a better time for it. My numbers were showing that as a difference between the Tuesday and Friday show. So Tuesdays at 9:15, Fridays at 9 a.m. I'm going to be taking questions from people and helping you with job search, hiring more effectively, management, leadership, resolving workplace-related issues. And if you have a question for me, I'm just putting this remark into chat. You can message me in chat and comment there. I'd love to know who's watching. This way, it's just nice knowing that what I'm doing has a benefit. Cheryl, hi. And I'll simply say, if you have a question for me in advance of the show, you can email it to me at theBigGameHunter@gmail.com. In the subject line, put the term office hours, or just leave it at office hours, and I'll respond during the next segment of the show. Both shows now have answers to all the same types of questions: job search, hiring, management, leadership, resolving different workplace issues. So again, if you send it to me in advance, that's great. If you do it in chat, I'm happy with that too. And I have a lot of good questions today from folks that I received. Here's something snide. Have you seen any useful content on LinkedIn aside from "I'm hiring" and "I'm looking to be hired"? I think that is very funny because what people are missing out on is, yes, that's where LinkedIn started. I know, I was there at the beginning. I'm member 7653 on LinkedIn. And thus, I saw the early days and what it was like. And yes, so much was, I've got a job, I'm looking for a job. That's still a big part of LinkedIn, but it is so much more. Now, in terms of useful content, there's a ton of useful content. And you just go to the Pulse service for LinkedIn. I think you'll find linkedin.com/Pulse. But Pulse publishes articles. It's the blogging platform for LinkedIn. And anyone can publish anything in the LinkedIn blog and thus be seen as an expert. I know I coach senior professionals to write for LinkedIn or to be interviewed and live streamed to LinkedIn because, frankly, it's a way that their expertise can be identified and become known in the market. So it's partially about the branding part of yourself, but the branding comes from being known as an expert. And thus, the way you become known is you share information on LinkedIn. Video, you create video, you share podcast links. They don't allow audio uploads yet. I hope they do that at some point soon. And thus, people get to know, like, trust, and respect you for your knowledge and expertise. And that's a good way to get known. But again, just starting off with, is there any good content other than I'm looking for a job or I'm hiring? There is a lot of great content along those lines. A lot of great content in so many different fields that benefits people and will allow you to become more well-known and help a bunch of others. This is a fun one. What's the fastest you've ever seen someone fail a job interview? One question. Quick story. I scheduled someone for an interview with a client of mine, a consulting firm in New York. Oh, I'm sorry. It was someone else did this one. My apologies. But the client called up afterwards to tell me the story. And what happened was this person was supposed to come to the interview on Wednesday, but showed up on Tuesday. So this firm, their recruiting person, you can tell this is in the days pre-COVID, and when I was still doing search, in those days, what happened was she made some space in her schedule to talk with the person because they were there a day early. Determined pretty quickly that their oral communications were not good. And the way that she found that out was her first question. Do you know what day your appointment was? And his response was to hold up his tie and go, yellow. Obviously, he guessed wrong on the question. And the interview ended at that point. They were rejected and sent on their way. So, one question, and that became the ending of the interview. So that's a story around it. I've also seen it happen many times. Sometimes the firm knows with one question that the person isn't qualified, but they provide the courtesy of continuing on. And one question is the answer to that one. Let me get to the next one. If you are the boss and one of your employees calls in the morning and says they didn't feel good when they woke up that morning, so they're taking a sick day, would you accept that excuse as given, or would you probe for a more detailed answer? What is this? You're going to treat them like a child in the bedroom? I don't feel like going to school. They're adults. Why would you probe? I know I once had a boss I worked for who started to do the deep dive. And unless you said I have 104 and I'm sneezing a lot, was trying to bully me into coming into work. I was sick. I knew I was sick. And to be treated like a baby basically says, I don't trust my employee. You're lazy. I don't trust you. You should come into work. I would come into work. You should come into work. And it's wrong. If there are sick days that are allowed your employee, they're entitled to take the sick day. If there's vacation, they're entitled to take a vacation. With whatever other criteria are established by the organization. But no, you don't treat them like a baby, because then you get response from them that, well, I don't want to say it's passive aggressive. It is aggressive because they're angry at you. And they do minimal viable work because you acted like a bully. So, no, I wouldn't probe. It's the wrong thing to do. Next question. Let's see now. I just finished my interview today. The interviewer said, I'll be endorsing your application to the recruitment team to follow up with your offer. We will contact you by the end of the week, if not next week or the week after. What does that mean? It means they don't know how to string together a sentence in English that is simple and direct. They've come up with this bureaucratese to say you passed the interview. I'm going to recommend you for an offer. You should receive it by the end of the week. If not, it could be next week or the week after. It's really that simple. Now, why people speak this way, I have no idea. One of the things I believe is sometimes individuals have been trained in school to use large words and bureaucratic jargon to create the mythology of importance. It isn't a mythology of importance. The greatest leaders I know speak simply and directly to people and are very well understood. In this case, this person didn't do that, and thus you get this convoluted sentence that is simply, you're getting an offer. We're hoping to have it out to you this week, if not next week or the week after. That's it. That's all it means. I have 2 employees who usually leave work at 6 p.m. each day. They are good employees, but I don't like that their commitment lasts only for working hours. What should I do as the boss? Okay, what kind of commitment are you looking for them? All day, all night? And, some organizations in leadership roles, senior leadership who's compensated very well, basically, they're on 24-hour call. The staff doesn't do that. The staff doesn't need to do that. And if you have that expectation of them, you should have told them during the interview that I'm expecting you to be on call when I need you. And sometimes they're just not available. They walk out at 6. You haven't included whether they have a family. And if they have a family, you knew that when you hired them. And if they didn't have the family then, you knew it earlier. What are the demands that you're placing upon your people that require 24/7 coverage? People are hired to do a job. Your job before you hire them is to tell them what the hours are going to be and what your expectations of them are during the hours that they're going to be working. And if you said it's a 10 to 6 job or a 9 to 6 job, and they walk out the door, you told them it was a 9 to 6 job or a 10 to 6 job. What's the problem? So get over yourself. And in future hires, if you have that expectation, tell them pre-hire. Again, tell them pre-hire you expect them to be at your beck and call, so that you don't have to feel frustrated that these people have a life or want to have a life. Here's the next question. I love this one. If an interviewer asks me to prove that I am honest, how do I reply? I think the correct way to reply to that one, since it's an idiotic question, is to ask them a question. And you start off with, I don't know how to do that, which is a remarkably simple and honest answer. Instead of trying to jump through hoops and prove to them that you're honest, when I was 7 years old, I found a dollar bill on the street, and I went looking for the person who might have lost it. How are you possibly going to prove that? Instead, ask them, I don't know how to do that. What sort of things are you looking for that would allow me to prove that I'm an honest person or an honest employee? Your answer is the demonstration of the honesty in that case. And if they said, I don't know, I want to hear something. Well, you just did. I don't know how to answer the question. And thus, through your question of them and your reply to their response, you've demonstrated your honesty. Isn't that cool? You flip it back to them to prove your honesty. Sooth, welcome. Next question. This was a creepy one. My boss asked me to write a resignation letter when I was unable to come to work due to anxiety. So they have a social anxiety, or they have an anxiety disorder. So I did, but I started with per your request. He wants the per your request taken out. Should I rewrite it? No, don't rewrite it. They just want you to quit. And frankly, I wouldn't resign. I would file for disability and make the claim that your anxiety has become pervasive. Have doctors' notes about this. And as a result, you're able to demonstrate that you have anxiety. File a disability claim. And if they fire you, you're able to collect unemployment. And then you have something to prove that you have an illness that caused them to terminate you. Per your request basically says, you asked me to do this, and that's the only reason I'm doing it. And frankly, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't even do the per your request one. I would simply say, politely decline and provide them with doctor's notes. I would also talk to HR. If this is a large enough organization to have a human resources department, and say, and write them a note saying, I'm being bullied into resigning a position because I have a disorder. I don't think that's right. Do you? And they will document in their response the fact that they now know that you have a disorder and why they're disallowing you from continuing to work there. My boss says they cannot pay more to software developers because the job is easy and anyone can do it from a boot camp. Is this true? No, your boss is an idiot. And I would say you're probably relatively junior. You're not wise to what employers do to psych out their staff. You've obviously gone to them for a raise, and thus what your next move should do is to find a new job. Because what you can see from what your boss has said is they don't have regard for the nature of the work that you do, let alone the quality of the work that you do. You need to find an organization that values you properly. It may take a while to find a new job, but find a new job. This person deserves to learn. It's not that easy to find someone out of a boot camp to do what it is you do. Last question for today. What advice would you give someone going into a leadership position for the first time? I've done a couple of videos about this, and I'll start off by saying that for many of you, one of the hardest things to do is to step up into the next level. And your coworkers are the people that you're managing now. And they see you as their bud, they see you as their pal, they see you as a friend, and the result winds up being suddenly you're not their bud or their friend. You're someone who has a job to do, which may be to push them to do their work. There's a difference between motivation and inspiration. I learned this from a coach named Lance Secretan. He's got some great videos on YouTube. You ought to watch them, particularly around motivation and inspiration. Motivation is lighting a fire underneath someone. Inspiration is lighting a fire within someone. When you have to motivate someone, you have to make them do something that they don't want to do. That's not good. So when all is said and done, what you need is to hire well. You need to choose people who are inspired to do great work, who care, and reduce the friction that interferes with them doing that great work, because otherwise the friction will wear them down and you'll get mediocrity from them. Taking inspired people and giving them a situation where they can excel and they can succeed means that you will excel and succeed. Listen carefully to what they're telling you. Don't disregard it or dismiss it. There's a reason they tell you stuff. And sometimes they don't tell you with words, they tell you with action. Notice behavioral changes in them and speak with them and ask them and keep a dialogue open between the two of you so that you get the inspired worker, not the one that you can push. Another thing is learn how to interview. Most people don't know how to do it well, and thus they get the person who presents great at the interview, but they can't really do the job. So learn how to interview well. Just take a quick look. No additional questions. I'm Jeff Altman. I'll be back Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern, and I hope you enjoyed this show. I've covered a lot of questions about job search, hiring, management, leadership, workplace issues, stuff along those lines. If you're watching on YouTube, click the like button, share it, do something that lets people know it was worthwhile. On LinkedIn and Facebook, same thing. Let people know it was worthwhile. There's great information here. Connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/The Big Game Hunter. Follow me on YouTube at JobSearchTV.com. You get notified when I release new content. And lastly, hope you have a terrific day. Oh, I'm sorry. Visit my website, thebiggamehunter.us. There's a lot of content there. Plus, you can schedule time for a free discovery call, schedule time for coaching, learn about my courses. There's a lot there to help you. Have a terrific day, and most importantly, be great. Take care.